Hi, my name is Brenna. I'm an artist and I think you should make a color wheel. If you want to stick around, I will tell you why and how you can make a color wheel for yourself. You can even do it with me. Hi again, it's Brenny, that's my nickname, and I am the Curious Little Frog. I am a disabled and autistic person a few months into recovery from major surgery and working on my art business and healing full-time. I use my color wheel almost every day in my art practice, and it's such a wonderful tool to have in my artist toolkit. I use color wheels to test out new paints and pigments every time I get a new tube, to see how the paints react and mix with each other. It also gives me a reference for choosing combinations of paint when I'm choosing my color palette for a piece, and gives me confidence in mixing the color that I have in my head because I can see the exact pigments it takes to get that color because I have already made a color wheel. Making a color wheel helps you learn mixing accuracy as you make small changes and shifts in value around the entire color wheel. When you make a color wheel, you also learn to mix with just the primaries, sometimes including white or white and black. This way, you don't have to rely so much on pre-mixed colors in your art practice because with just the primaries, you can get any color that you want. It also helps me feel unstuck. If you get in an art block or you get stuck with a painting or choosing a palette, finding colors, make a color wheel. It will help you to move forward. Okay, now it is time to get into it. So for materials, the bare minimum that you need for materials is red, yellow, and blue paint. Any pigments, any types, just red, yellow, blue. For me, I am mixing with just white, but if you want a grayer palette rather than a pastel palette, you can mix with white and black, which is great. You will also need something to put the paint on. This can be a paper plate, a glass plate that you are no longer using for food, a wooden palette board, a piece of cardboard, a piece of plastic, anything that you can find to put the paint on. You'll need that. You'll need a mixing utensil. I choose to use a palette knife for most of the time, but you can use a little mini spatula, you can use just your brush. Anything that works for you and what you have is what you can start with. And the last thing you'll need is something to paint on. This can be canvas. I'm using gessoed paper because I'm using oil paints, but whatever you can use is perfect. Just paper is also fine. Now, what I'm using today for materials might look a little different than yours, but that is okay. I'm using Winsor & Newton water-soluble oil paints in the colors magenta, cadmium yellow hue, Prussian blue, and titanium white. For mixing, I am using Gamblin solvent-free gel, but I also have used water-soluble linseed oil or water-soluble quick-dry medium. I am mixing on a glass palette with a palette knife, and then I am using a Princeton brush to put the paint on to a gessoed piece of paper. I tint my gesso with pink for all of my paintings. It is just a favorite of mine, and so that's what you'll see me painting on today. So now I would like to teach you a little bit about the basics. You start off by placing the primary colors. These are the fundamental pigments that you chose. For me, it was magenta, cadmium yellow, and Prussian blue. These are the fundamental pigments that when mixed can create the entire spectrum of all the other colors in the color wheel. Typically, these consist of some form of red, yellow, and blue, but I have also used a cadmium orange instead of a yellow, or a magenta, or permanent rose, which is technically a pink, so it really is up to you and what you have for your paints and what kind of palette you're trying to create. Secondary colors are when equal amounts of pigments from two of the primary colors are mixed. It is important to remember that equal amounts of pigment does not mean equal amounts of paint. Some pigments like yellow are not very strong. Blue is typically the strongest and reds can vary, but overall the lighter colors tend to be weaker and the darker colors tend to be stronger pigment strength. When mixing secondary colors, start with more paint of the weaker pigments and less of the stronger pigments. Add more of either color until the mixture is leaning towards neither of the primaries, but sits right in the middle. If you're going for green, you do not want a yellowy green or a blue green. Those are tertiary colors. You want it to look like neither yellow or blue. So keep adding until you get something that sits right in the middle. The next part of the color wheel is tertiary colors. Tertiary colors are the in-betweens of primary and secondary colors, such as yellow-green, red-orange, or blue-violet. Use equal amount of pigment of the secondary color and the primary color to mix any of these tertiary colors. Now that we have all of our colors on the color wheel, we can start talking about value. Value is a scale that goes from the darkest of shades to the lightest. This is usually visualized in a spectrum from white to black, but colors also have value. In my color wheel, I will be using the pure pigments as the darkest value, and then mix with various amounts of white to get an intermediate value and then a light value of each color. When you are mixing a color with just white, for me titanium white, this is called tinting the color. If you want to make your color wheel mixing with various amounts of gray, which is white and black mixed together, this would be called toning the color. So tint is using white and tone is using gray. I like using just white to get different values for the color wheel because it gives a very pure pastel palette. If you like a more muted gray palette, then try mixing with gray instead of white. The next part is optional, but you can also use the rest of the paint on your palette to mix various browns and other shades and colors that contain all three pigments. The colors on the color wheel only contain 2 pigments in various levels and amounts for each new color. There are many endless combinations when you start mixing all 3 pigments instead of just 2. Now it is time to go make your own color wheels and use them to your advantage in your art practice this week. This is one of the color wheels I made this week to help with a future painting. I was having trouble choosing what colors, and I decided to use yellow ochre, cad orange, and ultramarine to get this kind of muted and browns palette. Here I also used olive green to create a tint, and I used that for the other colors on the outside. This one is a lot more pastel and less gray because I did not use anything to tint. I only toned using white, and this is already a very pastel and cheery palette. There's both of them together. Ooh. Ta-da! I made that one that I just showed you to practice handling those pigments in order to finish my next painting. Here, I'll show you the underpainting. It's really cool. So the underpainting is magenta. Right now I've been calling this Magenta Dreams just because it's so beautiful, and I will be using this palette to finish it. So I'm very excited. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here for my very first Color Chats episode. I would like to turn this into a series all about color mixing, color theory, color versus value, and whatever I can think of. If you have a specific color-based topic that you would like to learn about or that you've been very interested in, please put it in the comments so I can add it to the future episodes. Now I want to give a little shout out to my Print Club members. This is the November Print Club print that you'll get in the mail. It's an 8x10 print, and I'm just so proud of him. And the second thing that you get this month is this sticker, which is my logo, and I'm so proud! Look! It's cute! Anyway, huge shout out to my Print Club members who are the ones supporting me every single month, and in return get fun mail, a print, and usually a sticker in their mailbox every single month. I want to call out some members by name and thank you all for being here. So here we go, I'll read them. So thank you so much, Alicia, Ariel, Darla, Lily, Emma, Liz, Nicole, Emily, and Leah. Okay, that's all I have. If you are still here, thank you so much for sticking around and being my friend. I love you so much, and I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye! I almost forgot, my shop is sponsoring this video, so if you want to go to the link in my description on my Ko-fi, you can find prints, original art pieces, and my print club membership. Also, I am making these amazing cute beanies. I have a few other colors, let me show you. These are in various stages of done, but here's some of the colors that I also have. And those will be going up on the website this month. They'll be perfect for Christmas or holiday gifts. And I would love if you would check out my shop and just see if there's anything you would like. Okay, that is it for real this time. So I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.